Hey everyone, welcome back to the Python for QA and Developers playlist. Today we are going to talk about variables in Python and how Python stores data. Variables are very important because they let you store information and use it later in your code. In Python, a variable is just a name that points to a value in memory. When you assign a value to a variable, Python creates an object in memory and the variable name points to that object. You can think of it like putting a label on a box. The box has a value and the label helps you find it again. To make a variable, you just use a equal sign. For example, here on the screen we have x, which is a variable, and you say equals to, and then you type the hello world. So the hello world is stored in this x, which is the variable. So x points to this hello variable, hello world value. You don't need to say anything like what is the type of this x. You don't need to say string x equal to. You just have to say x, because in Python you don't need to declare the type. It automatically understands that this is a string and hence this value x is a string. So you don't need to say the type. Python automatically knows it from the value. So this is different from other languages like Java or C, where you must declare the type first. You must say string. For example, in Java you have to say string test variable equal to hello world, or you can, if you have a number, you should say int for integer. But in the Python you don't need to say that. So that's another advantage of using the Python. It's simpler, and you can even change the type. Yes, you can change the type also. For example, from a string you can type it to 5. This is a number here, so test variable equal to 5. So you don't need to say, like for example in other languages you have to say integer test variable equal to 5. In Python you just need to keep the same variable without telling what type it is. And you can have many variables like this in your program. For example, I can define many variables, b equal to 5, and then you can assign another variable also. Like for example, you can do addition of this and then say print my number. So these are all the locations in the variable in the memory. So you can see the answer is 15. And one of the other thing is, when I can even assign a variable to another variable. So now a holds the value 10, but when I say b equals a, again b is going to point to the memory reference a, and which in turn a is finally pointing to 10. So b is going to take the same value as a. So in this case, when I run this program, it's going to type 20 because a is 10 and b again pointing to a, which finally points to the actual value, which is 10. And another important thing is, when I change it to 100, what happens is b is automatically pointing to a. It's going to be updated. So the answer, so both a and b are now 100, and that's how we get the value as 200. And another important thing is, when all these values are stored in the memory and when the program runs, all these values are in the memory, and Python handles the memory automatically. You don't need to free any memory like in some other languages. The Python keeps track of how many variables are used in your program and what are the objects they refer. And when nothing is used anymore, Python cleans it up in the background. So when you run the program, it's going to put the value 100 in the memory, and it's going to do all those things. And after printing this number, this is the final line of the program. And once the program is finished running, this 200 is no longer going to be in the memory. The Python is going to take care of that. It's going to clear all the value. So if you even say here, and if you run any command and try to retrieve the value of this variable, it's no longer going to be in the memory. So that's the example we saw here. And I want to show you one more thing and if you want to see what is actually the memory location where this is stored. I said earlier that if you have let's say 8 GB of memory, that 8 GB of memory is a huge address, a huge space, and by using this command id, it's going to identify the memory location of the object. So let's run this and see what it's printing. So you can see some number here. So this is actually the memory location of this, the actual result. Let's say let's say if you want to know what is the memory location where this value 100 is stored, you just say id of a, and it is going to give us the number. So we saw here is a number ending in 2312. So this is going to give a different ID here. So you can see here 5240. So it's giving you the memory address location, the exact location. So the addition result is stored in the my number, and the result of this addition is stored in this memory address, and this address is captured and stored in this variable. And the same way the value 100 is stored in this memory location, and when you say id of a, and that's why when you print the value of a, what it does is the a is pointing to this memory address, and when Python goes and sees what is there in the address, it's going to see, hey, in that address I see a number 100. So it's going to pull that number 100 and it's going to print that value. So that's the concept here. So here, this is the very foundation of everything in Python. Variables, variables, variables. You use them in loops, conditions, functions, in automation scripts. Everywhere you see the variables. So that's all. In the next video, we will learn about numbers and arithmetic operators in Python. This will let you start doing calculations and logic in your programs. Keep following the playlist, and I will see you in the next one.